I am warm. Yeah.
Man, y'all know the face, y'all know the name. Y'all tuned into the world's greatest podcast, Talk Ain't Cheap podcast, hosted by yours truly, Mr. Samui Cletus Real Talk. And this is a special day. These last couple of weeks have been very special to me. And I'm not saying this with arrogance. I'm saying this with pride. I got special people with me these last couple of weeks. And I'm not saying the people that have came prior to Talk Ain't Cheap this year, I'd say, haven't been special. But I feel like I'm walking in my purpose now. And I'm starting to talk to some people who are now I would deem as my colleagues, as my friends, you know, because it goes from it's one thing when you talk to your friends all the time, but it's another thing when you talk to your colleagues, people in the spaces that you're in, that you're hoping to also network with, brand with, create with, etc., etc. So, and sometimes people are doing more than you, and you got to respect that. So I got a special guest here with me. As you know, in traditional Talk Ain't Cheap fashion, I do not introduce my guests. I feel like it's very lackluster. I don't like to do that. I shortchange people. So, guest, please introduce yourself.
Yo, what up? It's Dave Noodlez. We're live and direct from the attic right now, where I cook on a daily basis.
Shout out to Dave Noodlez in the spot. Yeah, no, I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me. Shout out to your mom. The tea is immaculate. The tea is immaculate. I didn't think that she was gonna cook like that. The tea goes crazy, and the whole presentation with the donuts, the glazed.
I didn't expect.
Yo, I felt like I was at the Queen's house. I was in the Ensbrough.
I appreciate you. You kind of challenged me because a lot of my pods are online, Zoom. So you were like, "I'll come to you," and I was like, "All right, let's see how this goes." And so,
you know why I do it?
Why is that?
I feel like you find people's true, authentic selves in their spaces. That's one of the reasons why I do it. It's one of those things that's like, yeah, we could do it on the Zoom, you know, but I don't feel like you're going to feel me. Like, I want you to know, like, when I really come here, like, I'm very much grateful for your time. I'm very much honored to be in your space. Like, being able to see you, and it's like kind of seeing an artist in their gallery. Like, this is where you made the Mona Lisa. You're like, yeah, bro. Yeah, you know, it's a little crazy right now. I try to clean it. Like, nah, bro, it's hard, bro. This is fine. You know, because there's a beauty in that process. I feel like everything is communicating something. Yeah. As we exist in this space, in this realm, everything is communicating something. So being able to be here, and yeah, I see why you're who you are. I see the Doomsday, you know, the MF Doom stuff, the Slick Rick. Like, I see it, the Kendrick, the DMX, like the Kanye. Like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow. I get it.
There's a lot of history here. I literally grew up in these walls, and this was my where I was hitting my late teens, growing in my 20s, and then going for my dreams. Like, they started in this attic where I was either recording on GarageBand or making beats or printing my first shirt. Literally printed my first shirt right here where I'm standing.
Wow.
Like, of my own. I printed shirts before. I made shirts before, but it was in this same space. So this place has a lot of history to it, and I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. So first things first, I want to talk Stereotype Co. Because we're going to get into how you got to that point, but that's what I remember meeting you at. Like, that's the first time I saw you and what you were doing. And you weren't really loud about it. Like, even to this day, like, you really don't put your face on it. Why?
I really wanted people to just enjoy the brand for what it was. I know I think I bring a lot to the table in the world, and I love to bring as much value to everyone. But when I started, I kind of wanted to just, because I didn't know the owners of most brands when I grew up, like Nike or Polo. Well, Polo we do, but most brands we get, it's just you look at the brand. And I was like, okay, I kind of grew up regular kid from, you know, Westerly.
Shout out to Westerly, man.
Shout out to Westerly. And I was just like, I want to add to the brand, but I didn't want it to be about me. I wanted it to be about we, you know? And I always find myself saying we oui, you would think of in like France or something.
Parlez-vous français? Si, oui, baby.
But I wanted it to be a we thing, not a me thing. And so I've been very intentional with that.
So what is Stereotype Co. and what were the earlier origins of Stereotype Co. like?
Just kids that had a dream, that loved music. And music was just everything to me. It's literally the driving force of how I walk and talk. It's been like the big brother to me my whole life. And just the MCs and the beat makers and the artists and the performances I've been to, it's just, they're the most, I remember my life through music. I remember what I was doing when this album was out. You know, they're like these bookmarks of my life. And I give out a lot of bookmarks, you know. So for me, it was just a kid with dreams that loved music and also wanted to just have my own stuff to wear. Because I was just, you walk in somewhere, everyone has the same stuff. And as a kid, I used to get offended when my best friends would wear the same stuff as me.
I feel that.
I got into like a tiss with one of my friends. One of my earliest like disagreements was with someone who was biting my style. But I took it the wrong way as a young kid. I was immature, but now I'm like, I try to encourage everyone, yo, do your own thing. Even if you don't get my brand, go do your own, make your own.
That's dope. So let's talk about, since you talk about music, because I know you. I didn't know you was a rapper, but we're gonna get into that later. What was the first song that really changed your life? Like the first, whether it be hip hop or whatever genre. Like, what was that first song that really was like, yo, this is what I'm about. Like this speaks to me.
It's kind of crazy. MJ was just everything to me.
Facts.
As a kid, it was like movies. It was like seeing a movie. Almost every record was a movie.
Favorite MJ song?
Whew. I love Remember the Time.
The visuals was crazy.
That Dangerous, just, it hit me in the moment when it like the way Thriller came out. I heard it after. It didn't hit me when I was in the moment when he did it. Off the Wall, same. It came out in like 89. I didn't hear it when it came out. When Dangerous came out, as you see, I got the tape, the cassette. Yeah,
you got cassettes for days, bro. I gotta. Whenever one day I'm gonna invite you all, I want you to see my spot, bro. I got vinyls and cassettes too. I inherited a lot of stuff. And I actually have access to some 2000 stuff too. So I'm gonna definitely put you on.
So that album, as a kid, was just everything to me, and just everything he was doing. He did it at such a huge scale, and you had the widest eyes. Like, oh, snap.
He empties the clip every time he does it. He doesn't hold back.
Yeah, it was. I had music before that, like, but just as a child, if I remember, it's like the Dangerous album and just that era of just the album, the songs and the videos coming out. It was just, I remember, like, yes, I can almost remember what was going on in my life when that album was coming out.
Wow. So I'll say for me, I have two favorite Michael Jackson songs. Butterflies. You give me butterflies.
Classic.
Just because of just like how many different ranges he took it. And Lady of My Life. And look into my eyes. I was just like, those are tough. And I feel like those are those beat cuts that if you don't really know, you don't know.
Yeah, Love of My Life. I can't even really
those are
right
cuts. Like, I was like, yo, this guy is different. And then I remember he came back into music like in the 2000s. And he did like with the Chris Rock, "You Rock My World." You rock my world.
Yep. That was a banger.
So it was just for me. I think MJ. I'll say, what was your earliest hip hop? What was the first hip hop song you remember?
Well, the first hip hop album I ever got was Naughty by Nature.
Wow.
And that had OPP on it. And I was literally reminiscing about this yesterday of just like, I remember bumping that downstairs in the living room, and my family had the big old school like Tyrannosaurus speakers.
Yep, the floor giants.
And I learned how to turn it up early. And you're putting an album in, you don't know what you're about to hear. So there was a skit on there where there was a shootout. And I remember I had that on blast. Yo, that scared me like nothing else. Because I'm in Westerly. Like, we don't hear that.
Shootouts.
We don't hear that.
There's cops here, but there's no shootouts.
So for hip hop to make me feel scared, but then to make me dance like a track later, it just hit me. It just struck the chord. And so that album was my like first. And then, but it's weird saying this, but growing up, Crisscross, I was like 7 when that album came out. I literally have it on cassette right.
Oh snap! Crisscross make you wanna jump. Oh man, you really got the deep cut stuff.
But I know it's not hip hop, but when you were 7 and you heard the Crisscross album and like Jermaine Dupri just did his thing on the production.
Oh, without a doubt.
And just this album, I felt the influence. Like I wanted to do what they were doing, and then that was when I felt hip hop's influence first. Was this album, and I'll probably say, because I had no older people in my life being like, "Yo, go listen to Tribe, go listen to Wu." I was like 7, 8, 9. I couldn't access lots of stuff at that. It was what people would buy from me, so like I was able to get Crisscross. And
that's fire.
So, Jump, Warm It Up, Miss the Bus. Like, my mom could even rap probably Miss the Bus right now.
That's fire.
Because I've bumped it so heavy, and and the album was so important to me as a young one.
That's fire. I would say, for me, the first song that really, like, influenced me, like, oh, wow, was Missy Elliott. I think it was Get Your Freak On. I think it was Get Your Freak On.
That's like 2000.
Yeah, like it was either Get Your Freak On or Work It. It might have been Work It. Whatever one came first.
They may have came out on the same album.
Yeah,
I think.
it was like the same year, but I think it might, because I used to go to my babysitter and she would listen to like MTV early in the morning. And what you see is like Work It, Get Your Freak On. I think it was Get Your Freak On.
Mm-hmm.
And that, when I watched the visuals and I heard the beats, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, this is crazy. And then that opened up those worlds of like hearing a lot of other hip hop at that time, because I felt like prior to that we wasn't really hearing hip hop on television like that.
Yeah, Missy is just everything. I'm just so grateful we're seeing her now, and like she's getting so many flowers, and just crazy thinking that was 20 something years ago.
Just the visuals alone.
She just had such an imagination, and I just think about her and you just get inspired.
Without a doubt.
It's like, oh, shit, wow. Just think it. She did her first album in 2 weeks. She tweeted about it. The first album, her record label was like, yo, we'll give you your own label if you could knock out this first album. And her and Tim did it in 2 weeks. And that was Can't Stand the Rain. She had Eminem on that album. That album, that record was a B cut too, but that's a good first hip hop song for you to get into.
And then after that, it just got crazy for me, because then I started going to the library, and in the library, they used to have CDs in the library that you could check out, and I found Poison by Belle DeVoe, and I know Poison verbatim,
so
like that whole album, I know like. Verbatim, like almost to the point that I think I almost didn't return the album, or I kept rechecking it out, and from there it just got crazy for me. Like, you gotta think then 50 Cent started getting really crazy. DMX was always DMX to me, so when it got crazy, and like I said, like what made hip hop dope for me was I got in right when social media started to pop off too. So you gotta think, I'm on AIM, you got Soulja Boy, you got all of the OGs, you got Lil Wayne, you got you had even Bubba Sparks, booty, and all the. And you gotta think, I went to 51. What schools did you go to on Staten Island, by the way?
PS 30, 51, Port Richmond, CSI.
Okay, so I went to PS 60, 51, Wagner. Then I went away for college. But while I was here, like, just like the school dances right? Like Night of 100 Pizzas.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I want to do a Night of 100 Pizzas on Staten Island. I want to redo it.
That would be great.
Crazy.
That's a great idea.
Crazy. So Night of 100 Pizzas or Night of 1,000 Pizzas. I think it was like 100 Pizzas. And like all the music that was being played at that time, and just the vibes, the energy, like. And they used to have dances in the lunchroom during after school. So I was really in the club all the time. Since I was a kid, I was in the club, and just the music, the vibes, the women, the energy. And you gotta think we was young, we were kids.
Yep.
And just like when MySpace came around, when the ringtone era came around, you gotta think I was up when YouTube first started. So when YouTube first started, all the UK rappers. So shout out to Bashy. He shot me out a couple months ago, and like showing me love. I'm a big Bashy fan. Mm-hmm. I was around when they had skanking music in UK, so everybody was gangsters, but they was in a club, like, and it was like UK funky house music. So yeah, and then I traveled a little bit around that time, and then I saw when I went to Nigeria. Then I saw like I heard Craig David. So when Craig David came out, Fill Me In, 7 Days, Rendezvous, I was like, yo, Scary Spice had a record. It got crazy for me. And then the radio. And this is what Hot 97 Power 105 really used to go at it.
They controlled the world, bro. Well, our world.
Yeah, hip hop.
I think about that now. I'm like, damn, like, what are we going to do in 20 years? Are we going to think back about Hot 97 and the song? Because a lot of the songs that we look back on were on the radio. They had the music videos. I'm like, I'm excited to see what nostalgia is going to be for people growing up now.
It's going to be all visuals.
Like Drake is going to be like the Michael Jackson, Prince.
I think, yeah.
To the kids.
I think Chris Brown is going to take that. I think, but it's weird because Chris Brown.
I'm just mean like larger than life.
Oh,
like
yeah. No, Drake is him. Drake is him.
Yeah.
Drake is him.
Performer wise, Breezy's insane.
Breezy, yeah. Breezy's gonna do this until he's 80, easily. 80.
Yeah.
80. God willing, he's he's there for that long. He's gonna be able to do this until he's 80.
He's gonna be like, bro. It was so good to see Stevie Wonder last night on the Grammys. He looked great.
How do you feel about the Grammys yesterday?
I thought they really repped for hip hop, which I thought was great. For me, it's like, how much could they do in that amount of time? It looked like everything. It felt almost like TikTok inspired it in a way because everything was very quick. I remember in the past, the talking in between was much longer. But I feel like the way culture is now, at least like TV, what we're watching, you need faster stuff. And I felt the Grammys kind of caught the wave of speed of dropping, the way they introduce stuff. Because when I used to watch back in the day, it took like 8 minutes to announce one album. This was like,
I felt like
it was cool.
I feel like they did a good job.
I agree.
But I feel like, and I saw a post about it, I feel like the South still hasn't gotten its respect in hip hop.
It's currently right now, it's not. It's going through a different wave. It's going through like the drill. Like the sun is more shining on the drill. And then like now probably more the throwback stuff or the pioneers. You know, like the 90s. Not saying the 90s, but the 90s was an important time. People that like started hip hop. So I agree. I enjoyed it. I was like, what's this going to be? And then I was so happy to see that they did all that. And I didn't want to be picky, like, oh, who'd they forget? I'm like, oh, they didn't have EPMD in the thing, but they had to crunch all that in like 8 minutes, that hip-hop performance thing. And then I even saw LL, he kind of even gave you the disclaimer. He's like, I wish we could have included everyone, so don't feel the type of way if we didn't. We're going to work on that. See what we got right now. Boom. But I thought they did a great job. I saw Outkast.
Yeah.
I wish Andre was there, but I understood.
Andre's in Midtown right now drinking tea with his flute, man. Let that man be.
I agree. I didn't expect him. But I understood why they picked Meth to do the one Wu-Tang record. I just feel like Hollywood-wise,
he's the guy.
He's the guy. Yeah, so I thought it was great. It was dope to see Beyonce take the most awards by a female artist. I actually fell asleep. I got to rewatch the Jay-Z performance at the end. I had such a long day. I like woke up at like 5. I knocked right out right before. I didn't mean to. But.
Man, it is what it is, bro. Culture is culture. Okay, so let's talk about you, because we went a lot of places, and I'm honored to have the conversation. So let's talk about you, right? So you're from Staten Island. What made you want to get into the creative space, and what does the creative community on Staten Island look like to you?
So getting into the creative space, I had no choice. Just my whole life. It was kind of weird because I was never that good at taking tests. Like, I had friends, they partied hard and they were able to kill any test. Me, I was always like mediocre. But like when it came to doing something creative, I never even said I was a creative as a kid. People would just be like, "Yo, you're mad funny doing this." I would write people letters, like cards, and it was always like there was poetry in this, there was art in this. It took a while to kind of make it my career and my life, that I was like paying my own bills from it. But creative, just like, it chose me. The game chose me, it's just been part of my life, and I've just been creative my whole life, just wanting to make stuff. And I blocked myself out from really chasing anything else. I just said, I'm never getting a city job. People like, you be a great teacher. I'm like, I'll be a teacher when I retire from doing my business for 40 years. And I could talk about all the stuff I've done. And so I've kind of became stubborn in certain places to kind of only choose the creative path too. And be like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm telling people to dream. I gotta be the spokesperson for what I'm preaching. And so I had no choice. It's just been in me. I'm like the only person in my family that doesn't have a city job or a corporate job. But it doesn't matter, we all vibe anyway. In terms of the creative community, what was the question? What
does it look like to you currently?
I personally think the energy now is the best it's ever been on the island. At least from my point of view, someone who's worked really hard in connecting people and always want to and always will. So my perspective comes from that, because maybe my view is that, because I created my own view. I could see where people may feel left out, but I always say connection begins with us. So when I was starting off, I didn't feel connected at all. I was trying to get my music here. I was trying to get my merch here. And I had to literally knock on doors and get people involved with stuff to do it. So I think right now there's venues, there's pods like this show, like you literally rolling up to people's homes and like asking people to share their story. So like, I wish there was stuff like that when I started, and I think we become the opposite of what we hated. Like, oh, I hate this shit. I got to do something about it. And then I feel like we also become the change we needed. Or like, yo, I wish we had someone to support us. I feel like, at least me, I became everything that I felt missing when I was younger.
So during your process of creating your creative communities and just building these pipelines in these spaces and occupying these spaces, what were some of the things that you felt like you had to do to get you to that next level? And where were some places that you fell short and that you had to learn lessons from to help propel you to the next level?
That's a good one. For me, giving was everything. It was always like, give 2 times more. And like, give as much as you can always. And not always giving money. Like, for me, I'm not like a river when it comes to money, but I'm a river that flows very quickly when it comes to just being there for someone. Like, if someone calls me or they send me a message or just, oh, this is my dream, I could be like, yo, check this out. hit up my guy. He has the pod or whatever. So I kind of lost frame, but what was the question again? I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I asked a lot of questions at the same time, so something I have to work on. It was basically what the process was like. For you.
Yeah.
And then what were some places that you might have fell short that you had to learn from that helped propel you for the next step?
Got you. Yeah, for me with the brand, I tried to make it always about everyone else. As I said, it's a we, not a me thing. So I would give bookmarks. I would tell people, yo, go out there, go follow your dream, go do it. And I never wanted to be preachy, like this is how you got to do it, because your dream is your dream. I can't tell you how to do it, but I would want to tell you, go dream, go have a dream. And then it's on you to figure out what that is. And then you ask me for help. I can't do that work for you, but I could give you encouragement. So I always wanted to be encouragement to everyone with the brand. So I made the brand was all about, I guess, giving what I wish I kind of had growing up. Like, I've had supporters and I've had encouragement, but I was like, I remember how it felt when I started. I had just my family and a few friends on my Nextel, like 7 friends that.
Nextel is crazy.
So I remember those cold days and they were still beautiful days, making 10 sales in a month. I still remember them like yesterday. I remember the people in the photos like yesterday. They were so impactful. But I couldn't really flourish and make it my thing. So that was an obstacle. Was, I have this brand. How come I'm not making 6 figures in sales or more? And you want that, and then you go online and you see IG and people are filling up crates full of boxes and shipping, and you get mad confused. You're like, how come that's not me? Well, what do I do?
It's that comparison, like with social media and just being around people, because people will tell you that they doing these things, but they don't tell you how they went about doing it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, what I realize, they do it in a very unfathomable ways. Yeah. They're not doing it with honesty. They're not doing it with integrity. They're not paying their dues. They're not building brick by brick. Mm-hmm. So to compare it, it's all just like the thief of joy, like they said.
Yeah. So I had to kind of get off looking at that and just really focus on what I thought was best at, which was working with people. Growing up, I used to think I could just do everything on my own. Oh, I could do this, I'll do this. But then that quickly changed when I started the brand, and I realized I couldn't design this perfect thing. I couldn't draw the way I wanted to. And then once I felt the collaboration like flick, I just completely went off on it. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to just collab with as many people as possible, because it makes me feel like I'm just starting again, right? It's like you're starting a new relationship. Right? It's like so vivid. You remember helping someone with something, the conversations. So I just ate that up. I'm like, yo, I want to do this all the time. I want to collab all the time. And I've collabed with like hundreds of people now. It's insane. When I look back, and it's at a point I don't even want to be able to count it. Like, I just want to collab with hundreds of people more and more and more, and kids and students and adults. And the collab just kept breathing new energy into it, no matter how maybe we didn't have the best month in sales, but the collab and the community just kept breathing new life. And I'm like, I gotta keep going. I don't ever want this to end. And collabs are everything to me.
I like the concept of collaboration. I think it is definitely essential. But sometimes I feel like where I draw a boundary with collaboration is when it can seem as it's one-sided. Oh, so how do you know when a collaboration is mutually beneficial?
Well, we created the platform, which we had rules. So I think as long as you have Well, for us, it worked this way. We had rules with our collabs. It was like, you could expect us to do this. We will be nice and we don't want to say we expect this, but we would like if you followed these little tasks because you'll kill it. And we saw proof of it. So I think the communication is so important, and then the commitment, because we created a contract. Nothing crazy. Nothing like, oh, we own your designs.
Welcome to Death Row.
We kept it, but it was like, you don't sell, you don't make nothing. You make one sale, you make a lot less. Because we have to still drop hundreds of dollars to even get this off the ground. And then most people took that really serious. And they were like, oh, snap, if I don't sell, it doesn't come out. If I don't sell, I get paid less. So there were these like incentives, and then me, I'm like, I push people. And I'm like, yo, what's going, we're on month 2, you only got 5 sales. Let's pick it up. And just a little nudge, telling someone you believe in them. And then you've already communicated with them. They already know what's going on, and they've committed to it. Then it's on them, right? And those were big things. And then moving on, I've been caught up with, this collab's not working. Why should I do the next one? And that should never be the case. Because once you let go, you allow something new to come in. If you don't let go, you're blocking yourself.
So you're saying that when it doesn't serve you, you just let it go, like you are okay with moving on?
For me, it's tough. I've kept collabs on the site that haven't sold a lot for a while, just because I love the person. I was like, yo, this person was great. We had great convos. And it was hard for me to take the collab down. And sometimes I left it up probably longer than I should. So I didn't like cut them off. That's where it goes back to the communication. Like, they know that if they didn't hit the numbers, we got to kind of move on. And then it was on me to like let it go or not. But for me, it was like, keep moving on. Do a new collab, and don't let this last one stop the future one. It's like, oh, all right, I had a bad relationship. And these weren't bad collabs. They just didn't really sell. They didn't, but the vibe was dope. Like, the conversations, I remember them. They're all very meaningful to me. But sometimes you got to do the business side too. Like, yo, you only made 3 sales in 4 months. All right, I think we got to hang it up. But the cool part is, most people, when you communicated and then they committed, most of them did very well.
So it's the communication portion of it, and being able to set realistic expectations up front is really essential in any collaboration.
Yeah. I think it's so key, and it was never no handshake vibe. It was never like, because then it's like a he said, she said. It was like, no. No one ever questioned me, hey, why did I get paid less? And when they made 1 sale.
So all these collaborations, you do it with contracts, like actual paper contracts?
Yeah, we have to.
Okay.
For me, it's just, it makes the most sense because it's all paper trail. It just makes it, so there's never no hard feelings with no one. They know what we could do, and I'm never mean to no one. It's more or less the contract says, yo, you made 1 sale, it costed the company X to do this. You make probably half of what you would have made. And we never want that. And I'll keep pushing people. And very rare that happens, because those commitment and the communication usually are solid. And then it's on the person, and then as I said, still keeping the vibe with them, because then you sometimes I get offended. I'm like, yo, why didn't they put their all into it? And then I'm like, you know what? They don't have a brand. It's the first time they're selling merch. Whatever. And then I just keep moving. So for me, it's weird, like these metaphors I'm going to use, but it's like I get very romantic, but I also think on like a one night stand basis. So I'm like, yo, I'm going to take this super serious. I'm going to be mad sentimental, the process, everything. I'm going to hold that romantic vibe, but I'm going to move like it's one night stands and just have as many of these.
If you fuck me, I'll fuck you too.
But still keep the meaningfulness to all of it. I don't do collabs every day. There's not enough time, but moving on and not letting the last collab slow me down. Like, all right, they didn't do well. I can't let that affect my business future. We'll keep it moving.
I understand completely. Okay, fair enough. So you've been doing many different things. What are some of the other things you've done? Because you have Stereotype Co, but you also have media companies. You've made music. What are some of the other things you've done?
Yeah, so music for me was kind of that first dream. I just got a sample of what it tasted like to follow my dreams.
Do you remember your earliest rhymes?
I do.
Come on, spit something for the vibes. Just one time.
Oh, man. All right. So, hold on, wait.
This is a Talk
Okay,
A2
okay.
exclusive too.
I don't know where else I'd rather go. I could sit at the top of the mountain, play bingo with my grandma. Told her how I got into this hip hop and try to explain the slingo. Rhymes go back like AOL and bingo. CTVI, this is more than why. This is what, where, and who am I? I'm a guy who decided to share his soul with the guys and girls across the globe, round the world. Hula hoop, skip it. Talk boy recorded my early sentence. I've been picked to do this. Ah, snap.
Hey, man, you got that Big Daddy Kane kind of thing going on. That Illsville flow. I like it. Yeah, we could get it. We could get in the gym with that. We could get in the gym. We could get in the tuck with that. Yeah. That was tough. That was cool.
So yeah, making rhymes was just me exploring art. Just that was my dream. I wanted to be a rapper, and I eventually pivoted and moved on to be more designer behind the scenes, and I found more of a home there. But hip hop is still in my love. You know, it's one of my biggest loves.
Man, put out a project, bro. Like I said, we did the Immaculate Tape 11/11, 22, and now we doing the Immaculate Love album 2/23/23.
Maybe, yeah. I'm open to. It's just weird. It's never in my conversations. But if someone asked me to do something, you know, I wouldn't mind.
I want to do a Staten Island album.
This keeps coming up. This is actually the third time it's come up.
Everybody. I want to get Holy Mo on there. I want to get Ty Briggs. I want to get a lot of people. Brit. There's a lot of people out here. I mean, we can do it. I got the beats. I just want to do Staten Island beats, though.
You're the fourth person I've talked to in the last week about this.
Who else spoke to you about this?
I talked to Paul Mars about it.
Okay.
I talked to my friend Thrilla about it.
Okay.
Who's a producer. And I think I talked to my girl about it. Just talking like, yo.
If you guys are serious, let's do it. I can make it happen.
Won't do it. She won't. But I just talked to her about stuff. But no, I agree. It's representing the island is so key, man.
Cause Staten Island got a lot of talent. I think it's a really a hotbed for talent.
It's rich soil here.
Like I said, shout out to my bro Don Dada. I just spoke to him. I was like, Don, like you make hits he's never made a bad song. Like we've heard trash songs. He's never made a bad song. So it's like, yo, let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, all the NSU dudes. Shout out to all the NSU, Family Ties. Very talented group. I like NSUs. All of them. I like their music. Their music is good.
I agree. I agree with the mixtape. I would love to hear your people. I never heard them.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of people out here. Obviously, you know Ty. You know all the people that run with Ty. All of them.
It would be too hard to even do an album. It would have to be almost just like playlists with hundreds of songs. We just have to start somewhere. Eson, out the West. Okay, let's keep the convo going.
A lot of people. Yeah, there's a lot of people that even DJ Father Forbes, he dropped a song hard. The record was tough, and I texted my bro. It's a good record. Mm-hmm. You know, so there's a lot of people on Staten Island doing a lot of great work.
I love it here, man.
Eddie I, and then all the people he works with. With my bro with the trumpet.
Glaze.
Yeah, all of the all the
So
Projectivity guys. Who else? There's a lot of people.
I could go on and go on. I just don't want to even start because then I'd be like, oh, he forgot him. But shout out to all of the island and all creatives out here, especially music makers. Because I see so many of them working so hard.
Coffee Black too.
Oh yeah, he's out here.
Yeah, he's already.
Let's keep the convo going because you're the third creative person I talked to that was like, what I've been saying, bro. It's like we need to bring the mixtapes back. I feel like the streams and it almost creates this like contractual vibe that makes it tricky.
Microwavable.
It's like, oh well. I need to give you my VVU number. I don't know what the number even is, but it's like, oh, so I could get my streams if I'm on this mixtape. And I understand all that, but it's like, no, we could do a mixtape, put it on Mixcloud, or
Dat Piff is still there.
That's what I mean.
All of
that's
what
I mean. Like, let's bring that Dat Piff energy, and not even give a damn about the streams or the $10 it makes from the 40,000 streams. Right, so I feel like all those numbers are almost confusing the creativity sometimes. Like, we'll throw on a freaking Mobb Deep beat and just go hard, and just put that out on an MP3 that you're not selling, that you're not making 10 cents from.
It's kind of like you decolonize the concept of creativity, because now it's just about the freedom of doing what you love to do, despite the numbers. But at the same time, I understand why people chasing them numbers, because now this art is like you got physical art pieces that are gonna be worth a lot, but there's gonna be a time that all this digital art, these podcasts, these creativity, this is gonna be worth a lot one day.
Oh yeah, because
these moments, everyone is prophetizing moments.
I agree. Moments are everything, bro, and I couldn't even sell a moment. Like, we keep it. So let's make as many of them as we can, because we look back, those are the most valuable things we look back on. At least me. Like, oh, I remember my birthday. I remember my boy came here. We recorded this shit.
Immaculate.
So yeah, and nothing wrong with trying to make a hit, but it almost seems like an oxymoron, because people are like, oh, I don't want to be signed. But then when I hear their records, it's like they want to make hits, and it's like, why don't you just think almost more like a mixtape era? Make the rawest shit possible. 1, the respect will be at the highest level. 2, no one's going to be questioning why you're singing when you're a rapper. Like, you're a rapper, but now you're singing. Like, it almost confuses it, because you're trying to make a hit, but then you're saying you don't want to be signed.
It's like, what are you really doing this for?
Yeah. So I'm gonna keep saying it, but think like a mixtape, when you make your stuff. And I understand people are trying to get sync deals and certain things. That's a whole different ball game. They're playing a different game in a different league. But if I'm not a rapper, right? But I'm just hearing it, and but then I'm hearing my friends say, I don't want to be signed. But then I hear their stuff, and the music sounds like they're trying to make a hit. And then I'm like, damn, I wish I had that gritty, raw, dark, not dark, but like the stuff that makes you want to like how Shook once made you feel. Right? But either way, I love what everyone's doing. I don't question it. It's their creative process. I just wish I heard more mixtape feels.
You know what we're going to do after this pod? We're going to listen to the Immaculate Tapes. This is on YouTube. And since I wanted to give you the B-side of the deep cut of the Immaculate Love album coming out 2/23/23, but I think it'll be really dope to actually get your listen on the Immaculate tape, like, and actually have you really critique it.
Okay.
So we could definitely do that after we end this podcast. But what I wanted to say is, because we spoke about creativity and the creative community and gaining support. How were you able to gain support, and what was that process like?
Supporting everyone else and not expecting any support, and shifting all my focus on supporting everyone else. And this is not like a strategy to like, oh, this is how I'm going to get support. One, it was like not expecting support from people I grew up with, people I went to school with, like going out in the wild and hunting for my own food, not being like, oh, well, my friends are going to feed me. My parents are going to feed me. Like, no, I'm going to go out in the wild, which is the wild, wild internet, www, worldwide, wild, wide west. And so once I cut that umbilical cord off, expectations zero, it forced me to go out and hunt. How do I make tons of stuff? How do I do collabs with people from the Bronx? How do I collab with people from North Carolina? Because now I'm in the Wild West. I'm not counting on my brother's friends to feed me. That changed everything. And then it was just supporting everyone else. How do I interview hundreds of people and not charge them anything, where they think they're in the fucking Twilight Zone because they're so used to being charged and tagged for anything in the hip-hop world. And then we come along, and it's not even a money-making strategy, what I'm telling people. It's more of an internal human strategy of life, like that's worked for me, that makes me feel really good. Interviewing hundreds of people, not expecting nothing. But the only expectation is in myself to keep doing it. To do it at a high level and do it all the time, and support as many people as possible. Then, because not like either of that will guarantee support for you, but I think it's weird. It's like you're almost fed when you're feeding others. You don't expect other people to feed you, because if you're out feeding others, you're already good.
And it's like you're doing it from a good place. So it's not like you're going in with the intention of profit. You have pure intentions behind it.
That was everything. Is keeping the humanist vibe. I want to win. I want to have money to pay for my bills and have a family and a kid and all that. But I'm not going to expect you to do it for me. I got to do it for me. And if it's not necessarily working, that my brother's childhood friends aren't buying hoodies anymore, I still love them. I want them all to win. But I don't want to feel a type of way about that. That shouldn't get in the way of anything. I'm going to go out and hunt and figure out a way to make it work. And that changed everything for me. And then, but and we're talking about getting support, and I'm talking about not caring about it, but that was a key part about it. I think when you go out and you are making a platform to support other people. The relationships that you build along the way are just so priceless. You can't even put a price on it, because once you and I are friends and we know each other, I think of you when they're like, oh, we want to give a grant to this podcast. I like you. I want you to win. You're the first, you're one of the first 10 people I'll think of when they say, do you know any people? They'll be like, oh, we're giving grants to men of color in New York City. I'm going to hit you up. You know what I mean? Because we've built a vibe. So I think that's the most important, building the moments with people, because you remember them and you remember how someone made you feel. When there's an opportunity, you think of those people. I know my girl, she's Latina, and they're doing grants for this, for writers. You text her and all of a sudden she got a grant. I've got my people tens of thousands of dollars just because I like them. And I was like, yo, they have a grant for Italian artists. Check this out. They got a grant for women of color. Check this out. And they've got $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 because they filled out 2 forms and then to do their art, because I like them. So I think if it reminds me of this event I did the other day. I said, yo, I'm going to go there. I don't care if anyone sells. I just want to go there and make friends. Bro, I freaking crushed it that day. I made more sales than I made the previous day because I dropped my guard. I wasn't at my table, like hounding it, hoping for a sale. I literally went with the focus to make friends. Bro, bro, and I crushed it. I made more sales than I've ever made at these events. And it wasn't a strategy to like, I'll make friends to make sales. But when your mind is in a different place like that, I think it just shifts something.
You know what's crazy, and I want to give you your flowers while I'm here and while we have this moment. This is a pure vibe, and when I say immaculate vibe, like I understand why I say it, and this is that because I haven't felt this type of energy from people in a long time, because I remember what it's like, and I still am in that grind where it's like I'm chasing something, and it's not because of money, but it's the fact that, man, like you give me startup energy, you give me like backpacker, I'm trying to get it, and I respect that, because a lot of people got lost in the aesthetic of what this means. They got lost in what it looks like to be successful. And for you, it's like, it's not about what it looked like. It's about what the true essence of this is about, which is the art, the creativity, the community. Being able to have a space where you can actually do these things that we once never had. So I just want to make sure I give you your flowers, because I get it now. Like, I see why you win. I see why you get the opportunities you get. You know what I mean? Because if people don't know you, they'll think, oh, it's just because he know people. Or he is a guy. When in reality, it's like, nah, like there's an essence to this that at the end of the day, you gotta do it. You got to. Because if you don't do it, someone else is going to do it. And if you don't do it, it is what it is.
I appreciate that, my brother.
And it's like, you just want to see people win. And I can respect that, because a lot of people don't give a fuck about you winning. And they think because you already in a certain position that you won already. And it's like, no, I haven't even scratched the surface.
Bro, you're like saying so much stuff that I think of all the time, bro. Like the aesthetic, like part of my French, but like fuck the aesthetic. I used to care about how my IG format looked. Now I'm like, nah, I'm gonna take the most rawest clips when I get out of the gym, and like it'll be even focused on my wart on my forehead. Like, good, judge me. But if you look with it beyond that stuff, we got some little gems for you that I'm gonna share that I learned, and you could take it or not. And it's true, bro. The essence is something I always talk about. Just that feeling that when you started, like the back piss. So that means a lot to hear that, because those are words and things I always think about. Essence is everything to me. And like I always think about, here we are where it all started. You know, all that means so much. So I always try to bring that feeling back. And I think that keeps it going. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
So what's next for Mr. Noodles? Where do we? What is 2023, 2024, 2025 looking like for you?
Yeah, man, it's been such a journey, and you said it. It's something I always talk about. I feel like I just started, because you're on these creative paths, but as you level up, you kind of start over, because you're on a new chapter. You've either now you're playing a new role, you have more responsibilities. So I try to always look at it like just started. But for me, man, I want to be able to have a space kind of outside of here, which here we are, with my childhood place where I grew up. I'm working out of, but I would love to have a spot where I could have like a coworker, an assistant, like a sidekick with me throughout the day, because there's just so much stuff I want to create, and I'm almost maxed out, and my mind is moving so fast, and I could only create with the time that I have. So I would love to do that, and I just want to keep adding soil, just adding soil to everything we're doing, and kind of multiply everything. More interviews, more features, and for me, I almost want Stereotype to almost become like a non-profit almost. It's just like into like this giving ecosystem where like the sales aren't even the thing. Like I just want it to like feed itself, and like not let Stereotype balance sheet affect how I feel, more let my impact affect how I feel. So those are some goals, and then I have some personal goals like buy a crib and stuff like that. But
now you're definitely on the verge, and to do it with your creativity, I think it's going to be huge. Like to be able to do it through your creativity, that's going to be different because you're a builder, and I think that's why me and you get along so well. Because a lot of creators, what we are naturally, are just builders.
Yeah,
we take nothing, or we take the minimal platforms that we have and we turn it into something. It might have been worth 20, we turn it into 20 million. That's just what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So I respect that. Last thing I want to talk about are some of the things that you talk about on your Instagram with all these like informative, cultural reflections, as I would call it. What are some of those things what is something that you want to talk about? Because I feel like you always have stuff that you want to talk about. And you DM me of late like, hey, tell me what you think about this in the comments. What is one of the things that you really want to talk, that you wanted to talk about in depth that you haven't had a chance to talk to somebody about yet?
That's a good one, because I kind of been using Instagram as that place, because there's always these topics. Hold on, there was something that was, and then you brought up a lot of stuff today already, which I really appreciate. Damn, I had something that was eating at me today too.
What did it have to do with? Do you remember?
I think it. Oh yeah, we even brought it up before we were talking, before you hit record, but oh man, there's so many, but the fan, like, I like the, like, forget the aesthetic, even though, and it kind of goes back to the mixtape feel of just making raw stuff, and you got me thinking about so many things, but I think just creating for yourself and forgetting the audience. But there's something I haven't really touched on, but what I just said leads me to it. Alter egos. Exploring other creative sides of yourself and not branding it under yourself.
That's interesting.
I highly recommend it to anyone, because if you're creative, it's almost like, imagine Halloween. You become more of that.
Whatever you wear.
But what if you become more of who you are?
By taking on the costume.
Right? Like, we say costume, so it almost feels like you're not being yourself, but like, imagine being on the other side of you, but then not posting it as you, posting it as that character, like how we have Deadmau5, right? We don't know him. Daft Punk, we don't know them. I challenge people to create something under a different alias and not say it's theirs. And I'm not saying make stuff you're not proud of. Don't make stuff that's against who you are. Do that, but explore another part of you, because sometimes I feel like our brand has to be our brand, and we can't step away from it. We have to stick within that aesthetic. But if you create something else, like, I want to do something that pays homage to my grandma, and she had all these like floral arrangement things, and I want to do my own like prints, and like, all of a sudden, if you tap into a new side of energy that you can't put under your brand. Does that make any sense?
No, without a doubt, because I kind of have done that many different times, and I'm actually working on that right now with one of my creator communities.
Good.
And I see what you mean, because a lot of people don't know this, but I do have like an infatuation with like interior design.
Yeah.
Like, I like to cook. Like, I have all these other sides of me, and I feel like I've always kind of done that because I never wanted to live in a box. I never wanted to limit myself, because I already knew that, like, I'm very religious. I actually gave my life to Christ again not too long ago, and there's a story in the Bible about the talents, and it was like a king gave three different servants a different amount of talent. He gave one servant 1 talent, another servant 3 talents or 5 talents, and another one 5 talents. And the one that had 1 talent buried it in the ground. The one that had 3 talents took one and then basically hid the other half and basically invested a little bit in it, but didn't really maximize it. And the one with the 5 talents really took it to the next level. And that's why I look at it. It's like when God gives you talents, you don't have to just focus on one. You have many different talents in you. You should be able to explore or maximize all of them because it's only going to help the kingdom of God. So that's why, like, for me, it's like I'm at that point. Like, you see, I got the clothing, I got the podcast, I got the Immaculate Love album coming out. We got the music, we got the candles. Now we got snacks. You know, just everything. Because why not? Why not? Like, you have one of these lives. You don't got 30 of them. And at the end of the day, you got to make it very clear that you existed. You think about how many people you never heard about. How many people were existing in this world that died this morning and didn't make it till the next day that you never heard about, not knowing that they were probably giants and pillars in their communities, or they were nuisances and people could have waited for them to die so they could forget. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, while you're here, why not max this shit out? Empty the clip. Dump the whole shit. Empty it. Because while you're here, you only got one of these. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of people who will never, ever have the gumption or the gall to do half of what you do. So where I'm from, I say eat choke. Anybody who speak ill on me, choke on that, because I'm not stopping. I'm not laying low. I'm not slowing down. I just like you said, I just getting started.
So real. I like what you said too. Diversify yourself. What I'm challenging people is put stuff out. Channel something. I can't say what it is because I didn't grow up where you grew up. Maybe I didn't grow up in this Alpharetta, Georgia, right? But maybe there's this like watch, I'll tap in real quick. My grandma, she had all these patterns on her wall. You could literally, and just say that's what fascinates you. You could literally create your own wallpapers, patterns. Like, let's come up with a business right now, just off that. You could go on Fiverr, give them the exact ideas. I want the little moths with the little dragonflies and blue and green and the laser beams, right? I want patterns. And then I want to make socks, hoodies, this, wallpaper, this. And it becomes like this 70s aesthetic wallpaper vibe to what you're doing. And like, that's one. Another one, it's like you love emo stuff. Whatever you consider that, right? Like, it could be more sad stuff or like sad faces. You could do a whole brand on just sad things. But then put positive messages in them, right? Like, so I don't know what people like, but there's these parts of us that I feel, I can't speak for everyone, but there were parts of me that I wasn't fully exploring because I had a brand and my brand had a certain aesthetic that I loved, but I couldn't step out of it. But the minute I was able to step out of it and kind of become a hero in different parts and explore other parts of me, like you said, there's so many amazing parts of us. It changed my life as a creative. I've been able to give myself a salary. And the thing is, I don't tell anyone about those brands. I put them online. I'm masked up. I don't put my name on nothing. And it's given me the most richness because I don't even have social media for 2 other brands that I have. And they both do very well. And I'm very grateful for it. And they're both me to the fullest. I just don't want to diss even social media and posting on it and saying, oh, I don't seek validation. Because when I post on social media, I love when people buy something. And it affects me when they don't. But when I created these 2 brands that don't even have social media, and the focus is just on sticking to that aesthetic, and I don't care if people like my post or not, nothing gets in the way of my creativity. And I've been able to like fucking 1,000-fold my output.
How do you do that though? Like, how do you How do you even build an audience then if you're not using socials?
Bro, there's people online that are looking for stuff. eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, Depop. People always like, oh, Shopify, but no, you have to send ads to on other platforms. So Shopify is great, but people aren't on Shopify looking for emo sad boy stuff, right? Or like mental health, I'm feeling sad, I want to feel better stuff. That's just like a quick thing we thought of in 2 seconds. But they're on eBay, they're on Etsy, they're on Poshmark, they're on Depop, there's other sites, they're on TikTok, and nothing. I'm not saying don't have social media. You could have social media. Detach your face from it, detach your name from it, and become a new thing. Become a second, third, fourth side of you. But you're just now the brand, and you're feeding the brand. I personally don't have social media, and it's helped me a lot. I probably could have it and may do better, but also I'm enjoying it being underground too. So it's part of me exploring that too. So I'm not saying don't have social media. I'm saying but go on these sites where people are just searching for cool stuff. And that was me as a creator and someone making products. That's what worked for me. But so that's what I would challenge people. But being kind of that other side of you and really exploring it and detaching your personal face and name from it. Because you almost, if it's like you're going into a new country and you have no ID, you could be anyone you want to be. And when your imagination is controlling that, you could go so many places.
Wow, I love that. If people want to connect with you, follow you, find you, where can they go to do so?
So yeah, just hit me up, Dave Noodlez with a Z. And Stereotype Co. You can check out the merch on there. And TYPE88 Show. But yeah, you find Dave Noodlez, you could find all those other little things.
Most definitely. I want to say thank you again, Mr.
Thank
Noodles.
you.
I appreciate
the talk.
Yeah, welcome. And like I said, you're tuning in to Talk Ain't Cheap. If you enjoy the vibes, make sure y'all go and support Talk Ain't Cheap Network, Immaculate Love Show. Follow that new podcast, new series coming to the Talk Ain't Cheap Network. Don't mess up the Vibe Creator Community. You know what that is. Everything that we do, everything immaculate. You know that. Underscore that. And all the other things that we're doing at the Talk Ain't Cheap. Never follow the Cletus group for now while it's still there. And like I said, you're tuning in to Talk Ain't Cheap. It's not that deep. It's a vibe.